Yay, I think we're live. I'm a couple minutes early. Hey Jamie, hey Gerald. Pat. Pat is with us, yay. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. Let me just go over and pop in the group and let them know we're live. Let's see. Hey Paula. Let's see. All right. Thank you for the sound check, Jamie. Hey, Louise. Hey, Katie. Katie is so close to my heart. Yay. Okay, guys, tonight we are going to be making a candy dish. I still have another minute before I play the intro. And then I have some exciting news to share, and we'll talk about that. I'm just going to give it another minute to get some people in here. There we go. All right, let's play this intro and we'll get started, guys. Okay, so there's Miss Sue. I got a little bit of news today from YouTube, and they have offered us memberships. So we are going to be having some memberships so that you guys can join right on YouTube and get access to my files, things like that. So it's going to take us a little while to set it up. I don't want to rush into it. I want to make sure you guys get some goodies out of that. So be looking for that soon. We're kicking around the idea of a couple of level names. So I may run a little bit of a contest here. Like one of my moderators, I believe it was Subi, said run a contest and give away what we make for the week. So I will do that. I will give away some of my creations from the week or 2 weeks or something like that. Hi, Deb. So I want to run a little contest, and you guys, it's not going to be anything major or anything. It's totally up to you, participation. What it is our levels of subscription to the YouTube channel. You don't have to do this. It's going to be completely just like it is now, but you are going to have the opportunity to join and do membership on the channel. So if you want to be one of my YouTube members, you can do that once we get it going live. And let me see, I'm sorry, my email popped up in front of me. What they want me to do is name my levels. So it's like, do you want to be a crafter? Do you want to be a crafterette? Something along those lines, but we're going to name 2 to 3 levels. So if you've got some level names for the tier of what you would want to be called if you were to join one of these levels, shoot them to me on Messenger. We're going to kick them around, and whatever we pick, if we pick something you suggest, I'm going to send you the crafts that I've made for that week on the lives. So, or maybe even 2 weeks worth. I don't know. So just if you want to participate, shoot me some ideas. Otherwise, we're going to be kicking around some ideas over the weekend, and hopefully I can figure out something by Monday. Hi, Marianne. So let's get started. We are making these little candy boxes. Somebody sent me a photo and asked me if we could come up with something like that, and I did. And guys, this holds a ton of candy. This took almost 2 10-ounce bags to fill. So it's a lot. It's like a $3 bag at Walmart of Kisses. It took 2 of them to fill this. So, and the same with the Reese's. It took almost 2 of those. Not quite 2, because they're a little bit bigger. But I cut this one out of the Cricut foil acetate. I'm going to turn it sideways and probably dump some. And it's really cute. I really like it. This would be great for an office or parties at a wedding. You can do all sorts of things with these. And then I did this one out of paper for like a Valentine theme. So we're going to make it tonight, and I am going to show you guys. I am not giving this file away. I will put it up on the Cricut well, not really the Cricut community, because I want you guys to have it exclusively. I'll put it up on the design files on my website, craftingwithapril.co, for those of you who don't want to make your own. But tonight we are going to go through and make your own, so you can open up your design space and follow along with us and make your own file. Okay, so I want you guys to come in and do that. Hi, Andrea. I want you guys to open up your design space, especially all you new guys. Those of you that know how to do it, then the file's there, or you can create your own at the same time. But we're going to go in and we're going to make this little candy dish. So let's go over to the monitor and take a look. So you've got your design space open, and this is basically just a square, guys. That's all it is. It's a big square. But we're going to do some things to that square in order for us to be able to fold it up and create this. And the purpose of tonight's file is not for you to know how to do it, because that's going to come in time for you to know to look at something like this, because I can basically sometimes look at something and say, oh yeah, that's pretty easy, and I'll kick it around and do 2 or 3 different versions, and then I can be able to figure out how to make the file. And that's why we do a lot of test cutting and stuff like that for these files. But this one is pretty easy. So we're going to go in, and the first thing you're going to do is get a shape. And like I said, it's a square. And I don't expect you to know when you look at a file that you see on Pinterest how to make it. That's going to come in time. But what we're doing with these tutorials is teaching you how to use your slice, your weld, where your shapes are, things like that, to help you learn design space a little bit easier and what it takes to lay out a file. Because you'll get used to it once you start creating some. You'll know how to create. And I want to start with something that's, even. I don't want to start with a bunch of 2 or 5 3/8 and stuff like that. We're going to start with a nice number, and we're just going to make this 9 inches. That's what I made these. You can make them smaller and you can make them larger. That's totally going to be up to you. But 9 inches is a good way to figure out and get your layout going, and then you can cut and size from there according to what size you want for your table and things like that. Hi, Pat. Hi, Joretta. So let's start with a 9-inch square that's nice and round number for us to start with. And I'm just going to make this a light color so you guys can see it a little bit easier. It won't wash out so bad, and you'll be able to see score lines and stuff. So this little candy dish, like I said, was a square, and we're going to need some score lines. So I'm going to go over back to shapes, and I'm going to grab a score line. And as always, guys, if you get stuck or you don't understand something, ask. We're going to show you on screen. If it's for another project, put it in caps, and the mods will help you, and we'll show you on screen after we're finished if you need help with that. So my score line doesn't quite make it on this square because it comes in the same size as a regular square in your circle. Everything comes in at 3.111. That's the basic. So I know that my square is 9 inches, so I am going to use my toolbar at the top in my sizing tools, and I am going to make that a 9-inch score line. Okay? And then I am going to duplicate that a couple of times because I'm going to need about 4. to get this shape of this candy dish going. But I want to put them in equally. So I'm just going to put these over to the side for a second. We're just going to slide them over here. And in order for me to get these scores where they need to be, I am going to position my square at the 0 and the 0. Now you can do 1 and 1, but I'm just going to make this easier for you guys. I like to do it on the 1, 1, and I just add an inch. So if I want to divide my 9-inch square up into thirds, I'm going to need to place my score line at the 3-inch line. So I'm going to select that score line, and I am going to place it at the 3-inch. And then of course I want it at the top, so I'm going to place it at the 0 on my Y position. Okay, and that's your horizontal. Horizontal is your Y, and no, did I say that backwards? I always get those backwards. I'm sorry. X is your vertical position, which is up and down, and Y is your horizontal position on this side. Okay, this is Y over here. I'm sorry. Yep, this is, if I got that right. I always confuse myself. I have to look at it. 3-inch is your vertical position right here is X. I was right. And then horizontal is your Y. I always have to look. I get messed up. So I know that I want to divide this again. So the next one is going to be 3 inches from that. So I need to put that at the 6-inch and the 0. So now we have those score lines, and this is divided evenly. I have 3 inches here, 3 inches here, and 3 inches here. I simply select mine. Now you can swap them up, do whatever, but I just rotate 90 degrees. So you learn to use your rotation tool. And then again, place this one at the 3 and the 0. And then this one at the 6 and the 0. So now you've learned how your positioning and your rotation tools work. Super easy, super simple. But we're not quite done yet. These are where we want our dish to score at, but we want some little panels to dress it up. So I'm going to select everything, and now we're going to attach. Because if I don't attach, when I go to move my square lines are going to stay, and if I just group them, when I hit make it, the score lines are going to be on another page from my mat. And let me just show you that just so you understand what I mean. If I don't attach, I just detach them. You can see there's nothing attached to my square. And I hit make it. Look what happens. Here's all my score lines, and here's my piece of cardstock. Okay? So you want to make sure that you have everything attached when you send it over. Personally, I like to hide my square, select all of my score lines, and attach them, and then select my square or unhide it, and then attach those two. That way my score lines, after I spend all that time putting them where they need to be, and I've put them in position using my position tool, if I move something, I got to start all over. So I like to hide my square. I usually hide my square before I move it out of position. I select all and attach, and then I unhide my square and put it back, and then I can move it around the canvas without messing up where my score lines belong. So, but either way, just make sure that you attach all your score lines, and then of course if you were to move them accidentally away from the square, you can just align center and your score lines will go where they're supposed to go because they're attached separately. As you can see here, I've got attach and attach. You should have 2 attaches. Okay? This is your score lines all attached, and then they're attached to the square. Is everybody with me so far? Oh, thank you, Patty, for that. Congrats. We'll talk about it a little bit here in a minute, too. So the next thing I want to do is I want to throw in some panels for decoration. So let's go in and get a shape, and I'm going to grab another square. And just to make it pretty, I'm going to come in here to advanced. We're learning to work with our color tools. And that's all I did is I selected the color tool, and right here, these are all, when you see these colors up here in the, let me just grab that one. When you see these colors up here in this materials colors, that's all the colors that are in your project, okay? And then you have the selection here, but if you select advanced, you can go down and you can select something in that same color family and just darken it up in different areas. So I'm just going to go down here and pick something darker just so it shows up on screen good. So now I have my square, and I need to size that up to fit in there because we know that's way too big. I usually do about at least a 1/4 inch smaller. So if I did this at 9 inches, I know that these squares, each one of these panels, would be 3 inches. So generally I would say, okay, 2.75 is a good size. But because of the way this is designed, and this is just learned over time, guys, and you will learn when you're doing this, if I get too much panel down here in the corners, then when I go to fold, it's not going to give me a good crisp line. It's going to be all bulky down at the bottom because there are no cuts in this other than the square and a couple of holes. So just over time, so I'm going to make this slightly smaller. I don't know, that's a little, I don't know. I think I did on my other one. I sized it out because my panels were too big the first time I cut it, and it interfered down here in my fold. So I'm going to go, I think I did them at 2.3, 2 3/8. 2.375. And in case you guys are wondering, an eighth is 1.25. I'm sorry, 0.125. 0.125 is an eighth. So if you have 3/8, you're going to multiply that 3 times, so that's 0.375. And that looks pretty good. I'm looking at the one that I made, and that's what I'm saying. To me, it looks a little bit small, so I think I'm going to go to 2.5 on this one. We're going to see. I like the 2.5. I like the look of that better. So I need 8 of these because we're not putting one on the bottom. It won't be seen. So, but I'm not going to duplicate it yet. Well, I am, but not all of them. I don't want all of them yet. You can go ahead and duplicate this one because it's solid, but you want an extra is what I'm trying to say. Because we have some that have holes in them. That goes there. That goes there. It's like playing tic-tac-toe. And you're going to be cutting and doing these kind of things. So now you've learned to do your duplication tool. And I've got these 4 squares. Now I need 4 with holes in them. Because I need to tie this up to make that box stay as a candy dish. So I've thought about that. And now I need to figure out how I'm going to do it. And I need to make sure that the hole is cut in the same place on my panel as it is on that card. So how am I going to do that? That's where the tricks come in for this. So I've got my 4 panels here for my decorative panels that are just plain. I don't need to do anything to them. I'm just going to set them to the side. We're going to take this big one and we're going to take it back up to the 0, 0 position. And there it sits. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to detach my score lines. And this is why I said it's important to attach your score lines prior. Now you can see I have my score lines attached. I'm just going to move them out of the way because I don't need them right now. Okay? Well, I do, but I don't. Let's just undo that and leave them for a second. I think I need them. I may not need them. Not really. Actually, no, I don't. 2 ways to do this. I'll give you guys the simple way. So let's get another square and let's make it 3 inches because we know that's what size our panels are. And I'm going to bring that up to the 0, 0 position. And now it's up in the 0, 0 position as well. Now I want to bring this square over, and I'm going to arrange and move it to the front. That's learning to use your arrange tool. And I want it on top of that gray square. I'm going to select that one and the gray square, and I am going to align, center. So now everything, the gray square is at the 0. You can click on it. It's at the 0, 0 position. This one is at the 0, 0 position. So we know it's all centered up like it's supposed to be. And we know that my small square is where it is supposed to be. Okay? I'm going to take that gray square. Oops, not that one. I'm going to take my gray square, and I'm just going to slide it out of there and delete it. I don't need it anymore. That's all I needed it for. I'm going to get a circle. And now we're going to size that circle. And my common size for a circle is 1/4 inch. So I'm going to say 0.25. And I am going to bring that up. And I'm just going to eyeball this, guys. I like to use the crosshairs. If you can see that on screen, the crosshairs for the circle. And I'm aligning it right here at the edge and at the top. And that looks pretty good. But I can actually eyeball it like that. Or you can look at your position tool, okay? And now let's select, and you can see that it's at the 0.0389 and the 0.417. So that tells me right there, I don't have that the same, that I have a different height at the top and the side. So I'm just going to pop over here to my Y position, and I'm going to change that to a 389. And you saw that my circle shifted just a little bit. But now you can see that the space at the top in the circle and the side in the circle is even. So that position tool comes in very important when you're learning to design. It's very important. It's a great tool to use. Now, how am I going to get everything on all 4 corners like I need it for my project? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select that circle and my top decorative square, and I am going to slice. You can only slice 2 layers at a time, and that's all I selected was the circle. Hold my shift key, select the square. If you look in the layers panel, you only have the 2 layers selected, and your slice will be available. Okay? I am now going to slide that out of the way. I don't need that one again. I am just going to duplicate it 4 times so that I have 4 of those panels. And we'll lay them out and make them pretty here in just a second. I did not move that circle. Not going to move that circle. If you can look, it's still in the 0.389 position where it was before. That's exactly where we want it. I just selected it and the panel below, and I'm going to slice. I do have the trash from this one back there, and it's okay. It can stay there. It's not going to hurt anything. Next, to make sure that you get everything in the right position, the only thing that you need to do is rotate 90 degrees. So I'm typing 90 in my rotate tool, and boom, you see over on the right now, there's the hole I sliced after I sliced my little panel. I am now going to select the circle and the large square again and slice. Notice I'm not dragging my tool and selecting everything because it won't let me slice because there are many layers under there. And we're not using those layers. I'm just selecting my large panel. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Now I have 2 holes over there. I'm going to select this again without moving it, and we're going to slice. I am going to select that panel again and rotate it 90 degrees. We're going to select it one more time, the circle, still checking that it's in the 389 position. We haven't moved it. And the big square, and slice. Now I'm going to pull that square out, and I have my 4 holes. Here's the original circle I used. Here's the 4, pieces of trash I sliced out of there and the piece of trash that I sliced out of the small panel. Okay, so now I know that that is it absolutely square. My holes are all in the same place. They're square. Everything's going to line up. It's going to match up. I don't have to worry about it again. I don't have to worry about anything matching up at all whatsoever. Okay, but I do have a couple more score lines I need to get that little pucker in there. So how am I going to do that? And you can do that at any point. I just do it after I slice the holes. That's totally up to you. Going to bring my score lines back to the front. Okay, I'm just going to select both of them. I'm going to align. Oops, I got to select them both, don't I? Align, and we're going to center them because we know that that's square. But my squares up here are 3 inches, so I need another score line, and I need it to be 3 inches long. It's going to come in at 3.11, and we're just going to make it 3 inches. So now I have that 3-inch score. Now I like to do this, and that's just me, I like to change this to draw just so I can see it and make sure it's going to line up and go where I want it. But I'm going to give you guys another clue to do that as well. When you're working with something square like this, you can do it a couple of ways. I'm just used to changing my scores that I angle because I move them around on different places. You know, I do a lot of interactive files, so sometimes I can't just go by the degrees. I have to eyeball it. So I'm going to rotate this 45 degrees because I want a 45 degree score. So there we go. It's at 45, okay? But it's not at 3 inches. Oops, I must have hit something. Let's change it. And that's because I know this panel is 3 inches, okay? And if I bring that up there, you can see that it fits. If I put it right up here on the top, it's going to come right down to this corner. And because it's square, we can do that. When you're working on a degree, you can see that the bounding box, and you can play with it that way. But I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and change that back to score. That's just if you're having trouble seeing. I just wanted you guys to see there's a couple of ways. I am going to duplicate this a couple of times. I need 4 altogether, so I'm just going to bring those over to the side. I have one here. I am going to select both everything right here. I'm selecting all my score lines and everything, and I'm going to align top, align right. Now I know that that is a perfect angle for that score line. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to select my other set of score lines, and I'm going to attach them. So now that's not going anywhere. Now I can rotate this like I did before doing the circles, but I don't have to do that with this. I'm just going to bring the second one down here, and I am going to align bottom, align left, and then I'm going to select those lines because I want all my lines together. So if I have to detach them for any reason later, I can detach it and not have to worry about it. So now I have that selected. You can see that my big square over here has nothing attached to it. I don't want anything attached. I'm just going to delete that one. I don't want it. I actually duplicated too many times. This one I am going to flip horizontal. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate it. We're going to slide it down there. We're going to select that score line, the other score lines. There we go. And I am going to align top, align left. You saw it move just a little bit, and we're going to attach. And then we're going to bring this one down. And we're going to select this. We're going to align right, align bottom, attach. So now I have my score lines just where I need them to be. They're all together. Don't have to worry about it if I need to change something later. I'm going to select these two, the square and my scores. We're going to align center, and we're going to attach. And you can save often. I'm just saving now, and we're going to call this our candy dish. Since I already have one in there, I'm going to say 2, and I'm going to save it. We're done. We're ready to cut. I hear you, Louise. So now you have everything that you need. Your file is set up and it's ready to go. And if you want to make it pretty and lay all of these on top, you can do that. Use your range, send that to the back. Oops. Range, send it to the back. And you can bring all of these in, and you can rotate them if you want, so that your holes line up, because only one is going to line up because of the way we duplicated it. But you're just going to twist it. If you're going to use a pattern paper and it matters, I'm just going to say go ahead and rotate that 90 degrees. Rotate this one, what is it, 180, yeah, 180 and 270. I think that's right, if my math is right. Yep, 270. So it's regular, 90, 180, and 270. If you want them, if you're using a pattern paper that's going to matter, then you'll want to rotate those so that your pattern, like a word, if it has words in the pattern, you don't want some of your words upside down. So that's when that would matter and when it would be important, okay? So just make sure that your file looks nice and pretty, and then you can group everything if you want, and then save. Now at this point is where you would want to size. Don't forget, make sure you have everything lined up, you have it all together before you do any sizing, because now I can size this down and make this whatever I want. And to tell what size the box is going to be at the base, you're just going to put in a square and shrink that square down into those score lines there. And then you can see that this box will be on the base approximately 1.75 inches. Okay? So that's how you can tell what size the base would be in the end. I'm going to bring this back to 9 inches. And we're going to cut it. Oh, thanks, Deb. So I hope you guys actually learned how to actually come up and design something, and how to work with your scores, your position tools, your rotate tools, your slicing, your alignment. All of those things matter when you're designing, okay? As well as your group and stuff, because that's the brain. So let's go over and cut it. I'm just going to put it on a mat, and we'll talk a little bit while this is cutting, because this is going to cut quick. I am using a piece of zebra craft paper, and I thought about doing a flower on mine with the rose, and then cut my panels and put them on there. So I'm just going to cut my panels out of this green, and we'll go in and get a rose real quick. What do you think? Let's go back over to the monitor and pick us a rose. You can put anything you want on these guys. I'm just going to go to, I don't know my image numbers. I just usually go to Flower Shop cartridges. Oops, forgot my space. So search out your image that you want to put, whatever it is that you want to put on yours. That one will do. That one right there. Oop, I want this one. And we're going to insert that. I don't need the leaves because I'm going to make my panel green, so I'm just going to ungroup that. And I want 4 of these. Let's make that about, let's make it about 4.75. And then I'm just going to duplicate that. So I have 4. And I'll save it. Why not? I like to save before I make in case there's a problem. And then make it. And I'll show you guys how to put it together. Super easy, super quick. And it's going to start with my panels. That's perfect. Let me grab my mat. And just for you guys who may be new and you don't know how to load a mat, let's see if I can get, I don't mean to make anybody drunk. Please don't look at my messy table. Let me slide you over here. Maybe that's good enough that you can see. There we go. So I've got my dirty mat. I didn't scrape my mat, but we're gonna be okay. You want to make sure that it's up against your rollers. And I was cutting something with chips. I'm just gonna move my star wheels back in position. You'll want to move those if you're cutting thick materials like foam or chip or anything like that. Hold that against your rollers and hit that load button. Don't press your load button unless your mat is against the rollers. We're going to hit continue. I'm going to select cardstock. This is Cricut cardstock. It's a scrap that I had. Well, it's a big scrap. And we're going to hit the go button. Marianne, you can score the decorative pieces too. If you want to add a score line, all you're going to do is select the size of the square and make your score line that way and rotate it 45 degrees and attach it. I didn't do it on mine. I didn't do it on the other pieces, but you can because they're just really easy to fold. Honestly, that they're just super easy. You only need it on the ones with the holes. And so I didn't do it for that reason. It's just quicker to cut for me instead of using the scoring wheel. That way I only have to do it one time. But if it was a large piece, yes, most definitely. And I'll go back and show you guys how to add the score to that while that's cutting. Let's just pop over. Oh, I can't because I'm cutting. It'll mess me up. I forgot. Oh well. I'll show you here in just a second. We'll add a score. But you only don't want to add the score to the ones without the holes. So just be careful of that. Because then you'll have a score line down the middle of your decorative pieces. So we're going to unload that. Let's take this paper off of there. And I'm just going to bend my mat and pull these off. And I'm just going to scrape my mat off, not into the machine. This mat has been through it this month, guys. So next is my base piece, and I'm just going to be using this craft cardstock on this. This is from Hobby Lobby in a craft stack. And I'm going to be using my double scoring wheel for it. So we're going to change that out. If you have an Explore machine, just use your stylus. And we're going to let that score. And I am using, this is the Princess Sampler from Cricut. That's what I'm going to use for my flowers. So in case some of you guys are here tonight that we're not here on Wednesday, we have changed our days to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 p.m. on all of those, and that is Eastern time. And Mondays, those files you can come and watch us how to put together, and if you're learning to design, you'll know how to make your own file, or you can support on Ko-fi and get, or Patreon, and get those files. And I want to say thank you to those guys who do support. If you are wanting to do one-time support on Ko-fi, Wednesday nights we're doing files that you guys can get, and then on Fridays are freebie Fridays, and this is where we're going to show you guys how to make your own files, and we're going to cut and put the projects together. So that way we can cover and do something for everybody. The double score wheel is 02, Patty. 02. Score wheels start with a 0, 01, and 02. And then your wavy perforation, all that is 21, 31. No, I'm sorry, 11, 21, 31, and 41. I think 41 is the engrave. I want to say 11 is the perforation tool, but I don't know. I have to look. I have to pull mine out and look. The perforation is 11. DeBoss is 21. Wavy is 31. That's a good piece of scrap there. So now we have our base. And now I'm going to scrape off those little 4 little holes, and we're going to do our flowers. Because I'm going to pop back over, you guys have seen how we changed the mats and changed the colors and load the mats. We're going to pop over and start working on the box while the flowers cut. Don't want to make you guys drunk. See if we can get you back over here. There we go. Is that good? Can you guys see the work area here? So you're going to take your main piece here, and we're going to fold it on all of the score lines. I want to make sure that I'm on mine. I'm just going to use my bone folder. Just going to press that down. And I'm going to come over to this one. Give that one a press. And you're going to rotate it and do that the other two. We'll get the corners here in just a second. So now you should have something that looks like this. You've got all your scores done, okay? And you're just going to kind of pinch these two together. Let me back up this camera because it's not going to be in the right place if I don't. For you guys to see. Okay. So you're just going to kind of pinch this together, and then it's going to kind of bend in, and you're gonna squish that. Okay, that's the easiest way I know to do these 45 folds and get them straight. And this is where I was talking about, if your panels are too thick down here in this corner, it's not going to want to fold up. So I'm just going to fold those in, take my bone folder, and give them a press. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Get all 4 corners. Try to keep it where you guys can see it. So now we have a piece that looks like this. How cute, right? I'm just going to flip it over, And let's pop back over now that this is finished, and let me show you, because you may want to do this step to yours before you cut. Let's see. I didn't do it to either one of mine. It didn't really need it, but just in case you want yours, if it helps you. These 4 pieces without the hole, can ungroup that. You can just delete 3 of them if you want to add score lines. Just delete 3. Make sure you bring one over here, just so you guys can see. Get your score line. Oops, I'm doing the wrong one. Look at me. I just said don't do that. You want the one with the hole, not the... I'm not going to add it to all 4 just for time purposes. Oops, back up. Wrong one. I've got my score line. Want this one with the hole. And I'm just going to make this the same size as my square, which is 2.5. So I'm going to take that score line and change it to 2.5. Okay. And then I'm just going to rotate it 45 degrees. Oh, I'm on the size. Look at me. 2.5. Get in there. 45 degrees. And it's going the wrong direction, so I'm just going to flip it. Should have done it at 235, I think, or 315, something like that. I don't know why my size is changing when I flip. Or rotate. That's just weird. It's supposed to be 2.5. That just started tonight. Just going to align it and center it and attach. And then you're going to have 4 of them. Okay, and you can get rid of the ones that don't have a score. That's if you want a score. It's going to help you. But you'll see here, when I do mine, you won't need it. So I'm just going to save that since I already done it, in case anybody wants the file. Bring the camera towards me, Paula. Let's see. Yep, I'm a little bit off there. Is that better? There you go. That's why I hate to move it, because you never know. So I'm just going to take mine, the 4 that have the hole in it, and I'm just going to bring these 2 sides over. Just going to keep the edges even. Just give them a press down. And then just take your bone folder and... With small pieces, sometimes to me it's just not worth having to switch out the scoring wheels to do the 4 little lines. So that's why I always forget about them. I usually add them to the file before I release it for anybody else. But you do want a valley fold on these. Because they're going to go in there, and you want your pretty side up, so it's a valley fold. I'm just making sure I got my texture the right way. And you don't fold the other 4, okay? So now I'm going to be using art glitter glue, guys. You can use your red line tapes, your tearing tapes, anything like that you want. I'm just going to place a little bit of glue on here. And then you're going to place it in the score fold of that and line up that hole. You want your hole to line up. And just give it a press down. You're going to do that on all 4 corners. Hope I got that straight. There we go. can kind of bend it up. Make sure you got it in the right spot. Should be lined up pretty good. And I don't know if I said I am using art glitter glue. This is a really quick project too, guys. You can cut it in just a couple of minutes. Just make sure your glue is on there and it's spread out, all of that. Then you're going to take your other 4 panels and you're going to line them up on the other 4 squares, not on the bottom or the center, you may call it. Right here, you don't get one. I'm just gonna make sure that I got them even across the top and the sides there. This paper's a little hard to see the score lines on. I hope I got them on straight. I think I do. So we're going to press all of those down, and this is the inside, okay? And if you have flat images, I'm putting flowers on mine, but if you have flat images, like I do here, you can just go ahead and put those on before you do this step. We're just going to take some ribbon. And you can use, on this one, these I use some curling ribbon, but if you're going to do one that's reusable or you want to use fabric ribbon, you can. I just cut a piece. I like to have some extras. And we're going to start and put it in from the outside of the box. And then you're going to pull it through the front side of that other one. And then this one is also on the outside. You're going to come across here, as you guys can see, and place that in there. And through the front. And it's going to pull it up and it's going to look like this. And this is where you're going to have to give it a little coaxing. You're going to pull these up. Okay? And you can fold this in. Probably should have done that before I put my ribbon on, but it won't matter. You can pull this box in and fold these tabs just to make sure that you get a good pull on them. Give them a good press. After putting that other cardstock on, and that's going to help you just to tie your ribbon. And you're just going to pull it in. And I'm just pulling the centers. And it depends on how tight you want that center right there to be. You may have to pull and coax with it, but that's all right. There we go. Till you get it all pulled up just like that. And this is where you get your third hand. And you just want to tie a little half knot. And I tied mine in a knot. If you want to be able to ship it or anything like that, you of course just want to put your ribbon in there and lay it flat and give them some instruction. And then we're just going to tie our bow. And I have a ton of ribbon here. A lot more than I need, but that's all right. I'm not going to cut it off. I'm going to leave it for now, and then I'll redo my ribbon and put it back on the spool. So now we have that, and then we just have our rolled flowers. Do you guys need to watch me do a rolled flower? Are you guys good on that? I'm not going to do all 4. I may do 1, just so you can see doing 1 on there and where to place them. So is everybody with me on this box? Do we have any questions? Anything that anybody needs answered? Anything we didn't cover that you need to see? I'm just checking over the chat. And I just am getting my quilling tool here. I like to do mine from the inside. I don't know why. I know many don't, but I do. I like to put it on the inside and roll towards me. And I'm just going to roll it up. This is the paper crafting, the quilling tool from the paper crafting kit from Cricut. Last I checked, it was sold out, or out of stock, I should say. How do I know what size to cut the flowers? Deb, I just kind of guesstimate because I'll use them for something. If it turns out that I go, oh, that's a little too small for the project I just did, I'll just cut another one and throw them in a box, and that way I'll use them for another project. But on the group resource guide that we have, I have a sizing chart. Let me pop that up for you guys while that glue gun is heating up, because I've already got it rolled. I'm just gonna pop that to the side. You can see I put this one at this particular one, and I'm using cardstock, so that's going to make a difference. I set it to a 5.012 height. It was 475 wide, and it's going to make about an inch base, but when it folds out, fans out, it's going to be about 1.25 inches. But if you look inside the chart, let me pull that up for you guys. Here we go. Giving my computer a moment to open it up here. I have the flower chart here. You can see these cut at 4 inches, and these are the size. If you look at the grid, and as a companion to that one, these were cut at 4 inches, and these were cut at 6 inches. Okay, and this is what the finished sizes were for each one of these images. So this is basically to show you the image and the shape. But you can see if you match up that image number right here, cut at 4 inches, this one comes out to be about 1 inch, and a cut at 6 comes out to about 1.75 inches. So keep in mind that felts, all of that, as we tell you down here, is going to change the size. How tight you roll yours, how much you let it expand, all of that is going to come into consideration when you do rolled flowers. It's like handwriting. None of us have the same handwriting, so our flowers are not going to come out exactly the same either. Okay, we can get close, but they're never going to be. And as you can see right here, every 2 inches added to the cut size is going to add about 3/4 inch when you're using cardstock. That is, you know, it's going to vary depending on your material. So if you're using paper, it could be a little bit less than that. If you're using felt, it's going to be bigger than that. It's just going to vary. Okay. So I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue right here on the circle part of that. I'm just going to press down my flour. Now you can go in and you can, we've done this before in other videos, and you can roll and do the tips and shape them and all that. I'm not going to do all that here. I'm just going to glue these onto the side of my little flour box, or my candy dish, I should say. I'm just going to plop that down. Now if you want to, you can go in and add, I'm probably going to add some Nuvo drops and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to skew that off to the side just a little bit so that I can put some decoration of Nuvo drops. Or you can use enamel drops. Just tons of things that you guys can do. I think I'll go with these literally. They won't dry before we are off air, but you can see. But you can go in and do a ton of things to these boxes or these candy dishes and make these your own. And that way you can show that you did the whole file, you did everything yourself from a blank canvas. So how cute is that going to be? And then of course you're going to do one on each side. And then all you have to do is fill them with candy. Oops, didn't change the camera. Dang, I did it again. I did click it, it just didn't take. There we go. So all I've done is put some Nuvo drops. I just skewed this to the side. I can do another one real quick. Just so you guys can see. The glue gun's still hot. I apologize. I did click on it. It was highlighted. It just didn't take. But these are pretty easy. Simple and quick. I just kind of pinch mine there at the end. I don't, because it gets so heavy when I'm using cardstock instead of paper. Just going to let that fold out. Dab of glue. Just going to stick it. And again, you can roll the edges if you want to. I'm not going to do that for this box. It's not that kind of box where I want it to look like a real rose. Just going to plop a little on there. And I'm not centering mine on. I'm just setting it off to the side just a tiny bit. And I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. And then your Nuvo drops. Or if you want to use enamel dots, whatever it is that you want to use. Just kind of dress it up just a tiny bit. And you can get these at scrapbook.com. You can get them Amazon. Have links below. But once we do the whole box, you'll see all the way around. Can be super cute. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that we didn't answer or cover? You have any questions about slicing or your score lines or alignment? Everybody good? Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate you joining me. I want to see your candy dishes. Pick your papers and show them to us. Make sure you make your file. Anybody who did not want to make their own file and they just want this one, let me know. I'll be happy to share it and give that to you. Oh, that would be fun, Marianne. Because, like I said, you can make these smaller guys now. At this size, at the 9-inch size, finished overall, it's going to be, the base is, of course, going to be 3 inches, but you've got your taper. So I'm going to say that overall, about 5.5 inches. So if you want to make them smaller, make that base a little bit smaller. You won't need as much candy, of course. At this size, you're going to need about a 14 to 15 ounce bag of candy, maybe a little bit more than that, or either two 10-ounce bags and have a little left over. All right. Thank you, moderators. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you, Ko-fi and Patreon supporters. Make sure that you're back on Monday. We'll see you then. Have a exclusive file for Patreon and Ko-fi supporters on Monday.